Worms, security updates, and more on this week's Cybersecurity News Roundup. I'm Allie Diamond, and this is ThreatWire. Just because AI is dominating the conversation, it doesn't mean large companies aren't thinking about the next big wave. The team working on Google Chrome has announced new proactive quantum computing security measures. They're working towards creating the next step of HTTP certificates based on Merkle tree certificates. The goal is to, quote, address the performance and bandwidth challenges that the increased size of quantum-resistant cryptography introduces into TLS connections. They chose to study Merkle tree certificates due to the ability to separate the strength of the cryptographic algorithm from the size of data transmitted. The plan will occur over 3 phases, ending at the start of 2028. Phase 1, which is said to be occurring now, is to work with Cloudflare to evaluate performance and security of TLS connections using Merkle tree certificates. Phase 2 will be to work with certificate transparency log operators to help bootstrap the initial Merkle tree certificates. Phase 3 will be the finalization of how to onboard certificate authorities on the new Chrome quantum-resistant root store and root program using only these Merkle tree certificates. Support for the current Chrome root store and certificate authority partners has not stopped. The work will be done in parallel to develop the infrastructure to support the Merkle tree certificates and develop as default use in Chrome. Worms truly have had quite the moment over the past 365 days. Let's talk about a new one. Wikipedia's user script and meta wiki pages were hit by a vandalizing worm. It started off as a script that was uploaded on Russian Wikipedia, which then propagated to a global script on all of Wikipedia to be executed. It was first updated and uploaded in March of 2024, but was only executed on March 5th, 2026. How the worm was kicked off is still unknown. It injects malicious JavaScript loaders into a logged-in user's common.js files and, including, if permitted, common.js scripts that was a global script. It would then edit a random page to insert an image and the hidden JavaScript loader. In the time it was running, it modified around 4,000 pages, and 85 users had their common.js files modified. The Wikimedia Foundation, the people behind Wikipedia, shared a statement with Bleeping Computer about the worm. The code was active for a 23-minute period. During that time, it changed and deleted content on MetaWiki, which is now being restored, but it did not cause permanent damage. We have no evidence that Wikipedia was under attack or that personal information was breached as a part of this incident. We are developing additional security measures to minimize the risk of this kind of incident happening again. Updates continue to be made available via the Foundation's public incident log. To remediate the worm, they restricted editing and rolled back changes to the common.js files globally. In last week's episode of ThreatWire, we covered the saga that was the wild week at Aardvark. This included the release of Codex Security. This tool scans codebases for security vulnerabilities and suggests patches. In that same part, I briefly mentioned how in October 2025, OpenAI announced Aardvark, which was their take on a security code reviewing tool, but there was no follow-up to be heard about it. Turns out that follow-up was literally just around the corner. On March 6th, OpenAI released Aardvark to the public, which is now renamed as Codex Security. The capability of Codex Security is in research preview to ChatGPT Pro, enterprise, and education users via Codex Web. Codex Security generates an editable threat model for a project and creates project-level context. It then looks for vulnerabilities in and based on the context and proposes fixes for the issues it discovers. As a part of the announcement, in a 30-day period prior to the announcement, Codex Security scanned 1.2 million code commits from participating groups. It identified 792 critical findings and 10,561 high-severity findings. It also scanned popular participating open source repos and reporting high and critical severity findings. It shared the CVE's 2 examples of their high-impact open source security vulnerabilities in the announcement blog post, which we linked below. A lot of the commenters in last week's episode were super excited to hear that Motorola is going to be working towards supporting GrapheneOS. Here's a couple of comments I pulled out to talk about it. I've been buying Motorola's for travel phones and as a low-cost alternative for my kids. The fact that they will run graphene makes it better. Yes, Motorola and graphene take my money. Rare Motorola W. As I said in the last episode, it seems like companies are really investing heavy in mobile security, so this partnership is very exciting for the world of Motorola phones. Personally, I still am an iPhone user, but it's exciting to hear that GrapheneOS will be more widely available to those who are interested in using it. Especially right now, mobile phones are the contact point to how most people interact with the internet. Laptops are not as popular with Gen Z versus with other phones, so securing those Gen Z, as well as most of the other people in the world who are in high-risk areas or high-interest people, having access to an affordable phone that they can secure easily through GrapheneOS is really exciting to hear about. Other cybersecurity news you should care about. New research from teams at ETH Zurich, Anthropic, and MATS found that LLMs are able to do a fabulous job de-anonymizing users online. LLMs are shown to be able to collect enough information and execute pattern recognition to have capabilities to match non-users to people. This is still not very accurate, but the skill is still growing. Threat actors are using the special .arpa domain in combination with IPv6 reverse DNS to execute phishing campaigns. This technique has enabled evading of domain reputation checks and email security gateways. Thank you so much for watching ThreatWire for the week of March 9th, 2026. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Share, please. We are still trying to reach 1 million subscribers, so every interaction helps get us further up in the algorithm and get us those last 4,000 subscribers. If you want to find me online, you can find me everywhere at endingwithali. And remember, good luck, have fun, and don't get caught.